Hi, I'm Jacqueline. It's so nice to meet you all.
Hey,
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it a lot. And Shia, I had uh like Alex never said, "Oh, I'm a super fan of Church Pop." He just messaged me.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. He's very slick. He's very slick, man.
I mean, I was like, "Hey, can you put a good word in for us because I really would like to interview Shia." And
Yes.
like, yeah, I
and here
will.
he is.
Ask him anything now.
Here he-
Ask him anything. No.
Okay, so my first question is for Abel. Instead of focusing solely on Padre Pio, why did you tie in political turmoil occurring in Italy? Because Padre Pio, he wasn't the central, like completely the central focus of the movie. It was everything combined.
It was an event that happened there. Like the approach is we're making a documentary at this moment in time, in that place. There was the first free election in Italy, which, triggered a horrible massacre, which in theory was the beginning of World War II. Okay, so those 13 people were the first victims of 100 million, ended up dead. Pio came to that town at that moment. The stigmata, it wasn't exactly in the moment of the massacre, but close enough. It all happened in the same place at the same time.
Did you have
Not,
any? Did you have?
it's not me a parallel story. He's a member of that community, a
Okay.
key member of that community.
Historically speaking, just to give a brief background of the brothers at the time, the Capuchins were more monastic in a sense that they were more in the friary most of the time. I mean, they would go out and do things, but it wasn't the same as it is now. So like Pio, when he went to San Giovanni, after being sick for so long and living with his family in Pietrelcina, he was in charge of the Seraphic College there at the friary. He was in charge of the high school, basically kids who were ready to enter the order after they graduated. So he didn't have much contact with people. I mean, he did, but not in a way that you would see later on in his life. So he's coming into San Giovanni during World War One, after World War One ends, and then during the social turmoil of San Giovanni Rotondo. So he is connected with it, but not as much as we know about him later on after he received the stigmata. So the movie is showing historically mostly accurate. Like he comes to know these people slowly, hearing the confessions, the mass, so on and so forth, hearing about the turmoil, and in the middle of all this, the movie is also acknowledging that Satan is the one influencing all of these problems, the World War I, social politics problems in San Giovanni. So Pio is experiencing that three worlds, the human side of things, the devil, and then God. So historically speaking, even though if it seems like it's two different stories sometimes, it's really like it's like an introduction to why he received the stigmata, and then later on his other ministries that he did.
Okay. Because it can be hard to understand it unless you don't know like the history and and even more about Padre Pio. So Shia, everyone knows that you went through spiritual growth with this, like a total transformation. So, where were you at in your faith when you filmed the movie?
Um, at the point of us filming, I had already been with Alex and the brothers in San Lorenzo for probably 4 months. And then when we shipped out, we just moved into a Benedictine monastery. So then you're with them every day. It's even more cloistered. It's even more prayerful. And when you're in that situation, when you got an all access pass to Catholicism, it's very hard not to get wrapped up in the goings on. And I felt an enormous peace. Usually when you film a movie, it's completely neurotic. I didn't have that. I didn't. I didn't have the same kind of neurosis and fear that pervades my system when I'm filming a movie normally. I felt an enormous peace and an invite to do good work. It was always easy. It was unbelievably easy. Even the hard stuff just felt easy. It just came so readily. It just was so available. And we didn't do many takes. And Abel's the kind of director who lets you float. He lets you play jazz. He lets you find it. He lets you fail your way into something special. And it just was one of the greatest working situations I'd ever been in. Even the crazy stuff, even the heavy stuff, and all the pressure just kind of melted away because I would just look over to my shoulder. Everybody else in the movie is religious. They are religious. They are in the order. So it's really easy to get lost and wrapped up in the salvific nature of their lifestyles. Every meal was with the religious. We'd pray before every meal. I was going to sleep next door to Alex. We would talk smack and then giggle a little bit and pray together and call it a night. Wake up, talk smack, pray together, giggle a little bit, eat breakfast. We'd ship off in the same car. It wasn't like my off time was filled with crew talk like you usually get on a movie, where in between takes you're talking to the crew about what are you going to buy your family for Christmas and did you watch the game last night. It wasn't that. I mean, we were almost cloistered on the set. They'd bring us to set, we'd film, and then we'd go away back into the house and get back into the lifestyle, the swing of things in there. Benedictines even more cloistered than the Franciscans. So we were really protected. It was a brilliant production, specifically for that reason. We were in a monastery. We were filming in a monastery, in and around a monastery. When we weren't in the monastery, we were at actual locations where Pio lived and studied and practiced his faith. So it was really easy to get totally lost in the whole thing. And in so doing, I really found my way.
I've noticed that just when you find God, you feel like you know yourself better. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you know yourself better now that you?
Yeah, I had no idea who I was previous. I mean, I was just living for more achievement, more goals, more animal instinct, pleasure seeking, selfish, self-centered, dishonest, completely inconsiderate of other people. If I was a nice guy, it was for an end. I had no charity in my life. There was no, I was a tolerant man. These things aren't Christian. Tolerance is a strictly Jewish thing. Full-blown acceptance is a Christian thing. And when you really ride with that, life is a joy. It's a pleasure. Even the tough stuff feels like a gift. It's like a hack. It's like a complete suffering hack. So once you've gotten the hack, once you know how to pray the rosary, once you feel fully embraced by God, there is no suffering. I mean, even the suffering feels like a gift. That's not in a masochistic sense, but in a purposeful sense. So, yeah, when I say it felt easy, that's not to say it wasn't without its challenges. This movie was very difficult to film on its face, but it felt like it. Never before have I been on a film set where it felt more like there was intrinsic value involved. It felt like, and it felt like I wasn't doing it, like I wasn't in control of the instrument. I had a maestro ahead of me in the director's chair. Well, not in the chair. I mean, he's always right by the camera, but I had I had a maestro and a friend right there next to the camera. I had my spiritual sponsor, essentially, in Alex. I had my real sponsor, or my actual sponsor from AA, right next to us all. It just felt like health. It felt like a healing process, more so than a filming process.
So, where are you at right now in your spiritual journey, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in RCIA. I'm scheduled to be confirmed in 7 months, and I hope Bishop Barron comes down to confirm me. But we'll see. I'm in RCIA right now. I once a week I get on the horn with Father Bobby and we talk shop.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
I'm sure Bishop Barron will be happy to do it.
We'll see. Who knows? He's very busy, but we'll see.
You said that in the interview with Bishop Barron that Padre Pio saved your life.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the movie or the saint or both?
Yeah, both. I think Pio worked through the movie to get to me. I was an egomaniac, a complete narcissist, living my life for selfish ends. My only goal in life wasn't to have a family; it was to be a great actor. And God used Abel and Pio as an extension to get to me. If Abel would called me at any point in my life with any project, it's incumbent upon you as an actor who has a certain sensibility, who cares about performance. You got to show up, right? It doesn't matter what's on the page. It doesn't matter what kind of adventure he wants to go on. This man's captured some of the greatest performances that have ever been laid down by American actors. And so he used Abel to get to me. He used Abel to seed my narcissism, to seed that selfishness, to seed that very animal instinct that I had to be great, to achieve my pride, to get me mushy enough, open enough to be able to have real conversations with Alex. I knew that the way I could, very early on, somebody gave me a quote, I think by Caravaggio, where in order to paint Christ, you have to love Christ with all your heart. So I figured the only way to play Pio was to completely fall in love with Christ. I had done a very surface level exploration of Christ when I had done Fury, and knew that I had to go further. And so my prep essentially was the seduction. My prep was the seduction into enjoying time with Christ, enjoying rosary, finding relief in prayer, finding a full-blown love affair with my father. I had not had that in my life.
What do you want? What do you want everyone? What does all three of you? What would you want everyone to take from this movie, and why should they see it?
That this movie is showing the human side of Padre Pio that most people don't know about, that you find in his personal letters, that in his sufferings, his personal sufferings, including with the sufferings of the people of San Giovanni, the stigmata happened because of those events. The stigmata did not happen just because he was holy.
Okay, Shia, I answered this the last time.
Yeah, what I would want people to take is the idea that you can hack your suffering, that your suffering is meaningful. It's actually a gift, that this kind of pain draws you away from worldly clamors and brings you closer to God. And if you can really heed that message, there's an incredible life on the other side, full of unbelievable joy and connection and purpose, the likes of which I never found in the Hollywood system or in the success animal-driven, animal instinct, pleasure-driven life. It's a bit like forgiveness. You You don't feel forgiveness and then forgive a person. You forgive a person and feel the forgiveness. You know, suffering's a bit like that. It's, you know, when you're in it and you have a really micro view of what's going on, there's no way you can enjoy it. But when you zoom out a little bit and recognize that you've been chosen, that you've been picked, that God's basically saying, come here, I love you. Once you can really like get down with that idea and fully adapt to that idea, it really removes suffering, which really is, I think, the point of Christianity. The point of Christianity is to be loved and to trust a power greater than you that can handle all of your problems. The message of the movie is that God loves you and he's cheating in your favor.
Yes, thank you.
Amen. I agree with that. I'm all in on that.
Yeah, thank you all so much for spending time with me. I hope that we
Thank
can.
you, Jacqueline.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you
All
too,
right.
Jacqueline.
God
God
bless.
bless you.
God bless.
Chuck.
Bye bye.